much for coming on all the way from Tucson, Arizona. You have a fascinating story to tell about the music industry. You're playing in bars, 30 years, whatever, in Colorado. Somebody hears you play and comes up to you and helps you make an album. So I'm paraphrasing this.
Okay.
But you're playing a long time in bars. What happens to start to make your life magical? And then we'll talk about some of the places that it went that weren't so magical. What happens to you in Colorado?
Well, I've performed all over the United States, and in the last decade or so, I performed in Colorado. And in Aspen, I was performing après-ski. I made it to the top, ... of mountains. That's about it. And I was performing, and I performed mostly my original music because
Which is folk rock? Is that where we put you?
Yeah, I'd say
Okay.
folk rock,
Okay.
yes. And this guy comes up to me, and he says...
Who happens to be from Connecticut.
From Connecticut, yes. And he says, you know, anybody who can play original music and keep a bunch of drunk skiers occupied has got something really special. I want to buy all of your albums. And he did. And then he also asked me for his address. And I was like, well...
And like, is this a line? Where are we going
what
with
do you,
this?
what do you want that for? But he goes, you know, I'm a musician. I'm a doctor too, and I'm a better doctor than I am a musician, and I know how hard it is for musicians, so I'd like to just send you a little something. So I gave him a P.O. box. He was extremely nice, and he was not hitting on me, which was also a nice thing. And a few weeks later, a wireless mic and pickup show up from him, just out of the kindness
And you're
of his heart.
thinking what from this Connecticut doctor? Here comes this stuff.
I just thought he was very nice. You know, you can read people when you play all the time. You start to read people's
But you didn't
agendas.
love what he sent you.
Oh,
Because you say in your book, and we're going to get to that in a second,
Yeah.
that you're just a natural gal. You kind of just go with it.
well, the wireless mic it was a really nice idea. It was like, you know, you can go around the room and play to people, and I guess I'm old-fashioned. I'm so old-fashioned. Can you tell by the title of my book?
Yes, we'll get to that in 1 second. I'm saving the best for last.
Yeah.
So he says, he sends you this equipment, and then what happens? Because then it really starts to steamroll here.
We become friends, and he's a doctor, and I'm an independent musician with no health insurance, actually, at the time, and
A starving artist.
A starving artist, and I say, hey, you know any doctors, any female doctors? And he goes, I actually know one in Connecticut because I was living in the East Coast. I spent the winters in Colorado, and then I'd go back to the East Coast. And he said, yeah, I happen to know one, and he actually is a big fan of your music. Dr. Flaherty, his whole family is. So he hooks me up with a doctor, and then we all become friends. His wife, Dr. Flaherty's wife, and the friendship builds. They actually have a party and have me perform at the party. It was called the Gyno Gig.
Which is also in your book?
It's in the book. It was very funny. And we just became close. He's like my goofy, long-lost brother, because we're very similar.
But the long-lost
Jonathan.
brother hands you some money.
Well, no, he doesn't hand me money.
He says...
Well, my long-lost brother, after 8 years, comes up to me one day and says, Linda, I want you to make the album you've never been able to make before. I'm going to give you the budget that you can do that with. I didn't get any money physically.
No,
he
wanted you to make the album.
Correct,
I should say.
and he took care of the bills. And he goes, I have specific things in mind. I want to use 2-inch tape. I want you to get the best drummer. I want you to use Jeff Pivar, who's a longtime friend of mine. He wanted to be part of the process, so he was a part of the creative process. And you know, some of the press articles didn't go into actually hardly any of the details about how Jonathan was involved.
Well, he loves music. He loves what you do.
Yeah.
So you make this album, and we're looking at this here. You make the album with his money. He's the producer. He oversees it. Mm-hmm. You finally get to do what you wanted to do after 30-some years of playing on the road. And
Right.
then what happens? Grammy 365 comes into play here. I'm moving around a lot, but
Okay.
what happens to this album that's a dream for you?
it gets nominated for a Grammy.
Which doesn't happen. How did you get nominated for a Grammy?
Well, we utilized the site Grammy 365, and in fact, it was my husband who signed me up for it.
And what is that for folks who don't know?
It's kind of a site for independent artists and other artists that the Grammys established, I think, a couple of years ago. I'm not sure how long it's been around. Maybe it's like 4 years. And you pay your membership fee. You have to have a certain amount of credits on albums in order to become a voting member. You can actually join Grammy 365 and not vote if you don't have the qualifications to vote. But I had the qualifications to vote because I actually had 5 albums prior to this one.
So you were working hard. Now finally you get this.
Yeah.
So the votes come in, you get nominated, you're at a party, you're throwing a party.
Yes.
When you hear, and you didn't even hear it, somebody had to call you, you had to see it on
an email.
On an email. You get nominated for a Grammy. So what happens then in Linda Chorney's head?
Backflips.
Which you probably really did do.
Oh, it was one of the most unbelievable moments of my life.
Then, let's start the journey of what happens after you're nominated.
Well,
From Grammy 365, so you didn't come in the way most artists come in with a publicist and a label and all of that stuff. So what starts to happen?
well, first I start getting phone calls from publicists that want to represent me, and then I start to learn a little bit about what the publicist's role is.
And who are you nominated with? We should point that out.
Lucinda Williams, Ry Cooder, Emmylou Harris, and the late, great Levon Helm.
And then there's Linda Chorney, and you were listed first, correct?
Yes, I think it's just because of alphabetical.
Okay, well that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Go with it.
Yeah.
So the publicists start calling, and you're excited, and here we go, I'm nominated.
Yeah.
So, but stuff starts to happen that's not good.
Well, first of all, a woman reached out to me who was a publicist who was extremely enthusiastic about my nomination. I love your story. I want to work with you. I don't want to charge you anything. This is fantastic. And we're so excited about this because we don't know what the hell we're doing, honestly. And then less than 30 hours later, she calls me up and says, you know you don't belong in this category. You know that you just got really lucky and you're just a joke. I was like, what? And that was my first red flag.
Because people were starting to lean on her about you cheated, you circumvented the system, how could this be? Is that
Right.
what she started to hear?
I don't know specifically what she started to hear. You'd probably have to ask her, but it seemed as if she said she was getting flack from her colleagues for representing me. And I don't know what was going on, but the bottom line is, and this is my theory, is my nomination did not profit anybody except me, which it didn't even really profit me that much. It cost, after you get nominated, I mean, I figured it was an investment to get a publicist. I mean, geez, I'm certainly going to spring my career from here, and it's going to be all roses and make a lot more money. And so I invested in a few things, like a radio promoter. And in fact, the radio promoter was the catalyst for me writing the book, because I got a phone call about a month into my nomination from this guy. Imagine somebody in a trench coat and attaché case that's just chained on to him saying, psst, hey, you want to know some secrets about the Americana Association and how the airplay works? Because I'm calling you because I don't really like what they're saying about you, and if you definitely belong in Americana. I'm going to teach you what Americana is, because
that was the category in which you were nominated.
And I want you to go back and listen to all of the Americana hits from the birth of Americana, from the #1 hits for the last 4 or 5 years. And I'm in the middle of round 2 of the Grammys. Don't really have time for that, but I do it. And he said, so what is Americana? What conclusion did you come to? I said, it's kind of all over the place. You got some folky stuff, you've got some even funkier stuff, you've got rocky, you've got 60% more twangy, but there's singer-songwriter, there's all kinds of things. So I fit right in there. He goes, exactly. you do fit in there. So if anybody tells you you don't, you know that that's not true. And then he starts telling me about spins and how things work, and I was like, why is this guy telling me this? No, maybe he thinks I'm going to write a book. And then I actually started writing the book then, because I just thought this whole roller coaster ride I went on, which I thought was going to be Cinderella's story, was starting to turn out to be Alice in Wonderland instead.
To go sour. So this was in 2011. You show up to the Grammys.
Yes.
And you walk the red carpet. We have a picture of you walking the red carpet, which you had to pay for this picture. There it is.
I did.
Yeah, you had to pay for that picture.
Yes.
Was it exciting to be there and sit there, or was it so bittersweet because you were being vilified because you weren't supposed to be there? How did you get in here, or did you get to enjoy some of this?
Oh, no. It was only a small amount of people that somehow had a loud megaphone that were able to dominate the press with the factoids.
Well, we should say that the Grammys are changing rules after you got nominated, so they're trying to prevent folks like you from ever being nominated again, correct?
From what I have been told, from the information that I've received from people who are actually on committees, reached out to me and gave me this information. I want to make something clear. There have previously been committees in place, these secret committees, who choose the final 5 nominees out of 15 that are chosen from the voting members. And so they pretty much control who gets to be the 5 nominees, but it did not exist in all of the roots categories, in Americana, in blues, in folk. And it was somebody from the folk community who reached out to me to let me know, hey, guess what? The year after you were nominated, they changed the rules and they put a committee in place without telling the members. And that's what he was really upset about, because he has his folkies that he wants new people to get discovered.
Well, it's a different system and people don't want to change, but you know, in an age where we're digital and people are putting stuff out there, it's not this, you know, you make your money singing in shows, not by albums anymore. So everything's changing. Anyway, you write a book, and it's who the expletive is Linda Chorney.
It could be Fink or Fork, you know.
It could be, but that's not what you meant. You were exposing some things in here, and it's a good read, because having spent a couple of moments talking with you on the phone, you write this book very conversationally. You have pictures in here, and you tell a tale of what happened to you, which is very, very interesting. Here I am, I'm nominated. This is going to launch my career. It didn't, really. But you're an awesome player, and to prove that, I want you to lead up to a song right now that was off this album.
Okay.
And tell me about it
All
before
right.
you play it.
Sure. Well, the song is called Cherries, and I actually put it in for Song of the Year. I put it in my album into 8 different categories.
Good for you.
I figured I didn't have a shot at any of them, so I might as well put an album of the year, song of the year, da-da-da-da. And so this song, Cherries, I'm going to do the abridged version because it's actually 6.5 minutes long, because I was...
We're online, but shortened is good, probably.
Okay, I was 50 years old when I wrote it, and so there's a lot of chapters in my life. I guarantee if you listen to the song, anybody who listens to this song will take a journey through their entire lives to this moment. So in this world of instant gratification, to go on a journey through your life in 6.5 minutes, it's not bad.
It's not bad.
No.
Go ahead, Linda.
Okay. By the way, this is the Rock Docs guitar. I borrowed it on
Jonathan
the
Schneider,
trip.
we should say. from
Jonathan
Cheshire.
Schneider, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Because the airlines, it's really difficult to bring an instrument on the airplane. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to decide which verse I'll skip.
Loving mothers like little monkeys.
we crawl and we walk and we talk, and Dad pushes us from behind. A bicycle screaming, pedal as fast as you can and don't stop. And then you put your tooth under the pillow in the morning and you get money from the ferry. And you're taught to believe in God, and life's just a great big bowl of cherries. Yeah, life's a great big bowl of cherries. Too innocent to notice all the bits. But what's to become, we don't know when we're young. Oh. And then you go to school and maybe get lucky enough to be the teacher's pet. You probably were a few times, right?
No.
Oh, and then you go to school and learn about rules and how kids are cruel and you don't like homework. And then you have your first crush and it's a rush, and maybe even your first kiss. And then you have your heart broken for the first time and you bite on your first bit. Yeah, life's a great big bowl of cherries. Just be careful of the bits so you don't break your tooth on the truth of what's to become. We don't know when we're young. We're still young. We're still young. When you have your first drink and cigarette and auto wreck and run away from home for at least 3 hours. You get a job or procrastinate the inevitable by going back to school. Get a loan cause you're in debt, you got bills stacked so high you can barely see. And then you make the discovery that money doesn't grow on cherry trees. Yeah, life's a great big bowl of cherries till you gotta pay for the fruit. So you eat what you can cause you begin to know life's not gonna get any easier as we grow. We're still young. Then you fall in love and you think it will last forever. And if forever lasts a few years, well, you know life's gonna be a hell of a ride. And maybe you'll find the right one who will do you no wrong, and you'll feel the words of love songs till you find out that he's been climbing up someone else's tree. Yeah. Yeah, life's a great big bowl of cherries till you find some rotten. So you weed out the bad ones, eventually forgotten. And what's to become, we're not so sure as we mature. We're still young. Then you're sitting in a hospital room with your family, watching a loved one die. And you think about your life, and your head spins at how fast time flies by. Then you turn around to the beautiful sound of a newborn baby's cry. Yeah, life's a great big bowl of cherries, sometimes bittersweet, but you taste all you can and embrace all the love and avoid all the hate. And never hesitate to wear your heart out on a limb and laugh and be silly with my friends and sing at the top of my lungs my favorite Beatles songs. Oh, cause we never know when we're gonna go. We never know when we're gonna go. But what's to come will come no more. When we're gone, we're still young, still young. Still young, we're still young, we're still young, we're still young, we're still young.
What a cool story. I can see how that resonates with everybody because you're watching your life go right through your song. So you're a storyteller, you did it in the book. You have lots more stories to tell.
Sure, Manny, 412 pages.
And
of
you've
them.
written a book, which is you're going to debut it now, which I have it in my hot little hands and was able to read it. Is there another book in you And one about traveling, and are there other things to come? Because you are a storyteller by virtue of your music.
Well, I've been very fortunate to receive lovely things from people who were inspired by my music. For example, the second greatest gift I ever got in my life, the first one was from Jonathan, was from this woman named Tracy Monahan, who made me her companion on her airline because my music helped her.
She was a flight attendant.
Yes, and my music helped her through a very bad breakup. And consequently, she made me her companion for 7 years. And I traveled around the world for 7 years.
And not even with her, you just went wherever you wanted to go,
Right.
first class and business class,
Business
correct?
class, I went standby, so whenever that was open, I'd go. If I was going to like Japan or something and business class wasn't open, I'd just, wait another day, because it was nice up front.
So I would say to you, things come in threes.
All right.
So Jonathan Schneider
Yes.
gave you the money to make that album,
Yep.
and your flight attendant friend gave you the gift of flying all over the world.
Yes.
There's a third one coming, perhaps. But as we wrap this up, you're giving a gift yourself to a young boy who was killed in the Boston bombing.
Mm-hmm.
And you told me that you were compelled to write a song, and you debuted it a couple of days ago.
Oh, well, last night I had performed it at a book show in Porter Square Books, but we recorded it on Memorial Day. And I can't think of a more appropriate day to record this song. I went to Boston for the first time after the marathon just recently, but on my Facebook, I've had on my wallpaper for the longest time that beautiful picture of Martin holding the sign saying no more hurting people.
8-year-old Martin Richard.
Yeah, no more hurting people. And just the look on his face and his eyes, I mean, anybody could see their own nephew or son or whoever. Ugh, I can't even talk about it now. But as soon as I saw that kid's face, I couldn't get it out of my mind. And I said, I have to write a song for him eventually. And I finally got to Boston after, how long has it been since the bombing? I don't even know. Oh, it was Patriots Day. So now it's Memorial Day. The day before Memorial Day, I'm at my high school reunion after going to Copley Square. I run into a guy in my class, Jeff Davison, who is a music teacher. And I hear children singing on this song. I have one day in Boston, Memorial Day, left before I come here to see you and to do the show in Cheshire. And I said, okay, is there any chance we can find a studio for Memorial Day and get your students together to sing on this song? Made it happen. Next day we're in the studio and we recorded it, and I'm so excited.
So the students from what school?
It's the BY something something school. Bring your own voice school.
Okay, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I want you to play it.
Okay, and the other thing is, my motivation is, as I walked in Copley Square, I felt so strongly that there needs to be a bronze statue of Martin there, the one from the photograph that everyone's seen that says, no more hurting people. I believe that belongs there. It should be life-size, no bigger, no smaller. It should be life-size. And I'm hoping that I can raise the money through the download of this song to pay for that statue, and then hopefully cut through the bureaucracy to get it done and put it in there.
And that's the third thing that's going to happen. Linda, thank you for being here.
Sure.
I want to hear this song.
I just wrote it, so I'm going to cheat a little bit
That's fine.
because I'm over 50 and I forget things. It's called Martin. I can't wait to play it for his parents. I don't really know you, and I feel a little bit helpless. But when I look in your eyes, I see love. I read the sign you held up, your innocence and dreams, so lovely as you smile for the picture. No more hurting people, peace and love. Martin, I hope you hear me from above. Boston loves you, Boston misses you, Boston will remember you. You are the face of Boston strong. 8 years is all you had here. What'd you want to be when you grew up? A fireman or an astronaut? Or playing ball for the Red Sox? Well, young man, as it turns out, you grew up to be a hero, and your beautiful expression is etched in stone for all to see. Sing no more hurting people, peace and love. Martin, I hope you hear us from above. Boston loves you, Boston misses you, Boston will remember you. You are the face of Boston strong. To your mother and your father, we'd like to take away the pain. Your son's a son of Boston now, and we all feel the same. I'd like to thank you for raising such a fine young man. We all will never understand. No more hurting people, peace and love. Martin, I hope you hear us from above. Boston loves you, Boston misses you, Boston will remember you. You are the face of Boston strong. Boston loves you, Boston misses you, Boston will remember you. You are the face of Boston strong. Boston loves you, Boston misses you, Boston will remember you. You are the face of Boston strong. You are the face of Boston strong. You are the face of Boston.